All right, we are live. Good lighting here. Woke me up this afternoon. I'll wait a couple minutes, see as people come in. I know it was a little bit surprising. I didn't have really a schedule here, but I wanted to go live and see if you are watching this in a recording. I apologize for the dead air for probably the first minute or two, just because as people come in, it's there's usually not much going on. So, but if you do have a question, feel free to type it in. I'm answering people's questions. I'm here, available. And if you guys want to talk about a topic, I'm happy to do so. I've been dormant for a while, but that's on the public side. Doesn't mean that I'm not doing a lot of work. I am announcing, which I had posted on my community tab and posted a teaser video that we've been working on the membership platform. And so that is launching 1 week from today. Today is June 7th. So it's launching on the 14th. So if you're watching this in replay, depending on when you're watching it, it may or may be live already. So that's cool. But yeah, just came on to answer some questions, see how people are doing. Haven't talked to the community in a bit, but I've been here. I've been working. It's just haven't been able to post as many videos and such, which, we will get back to that. And I promise there'll be a lot more content coming in the short term. It's just, you can only do so much, as you know, as a father and kind of managing everything. I've had to pick some things. And so the YouTube videos had suffered a little bit, just had to back off and concentrate on the membership platform. So it'll be awesome though. It'll be fun. It's going to be very educational. If you are interested in learning more before the launch date, just sign up for the waiting list. You can go to the website, daduniversity.com, and sign up for the waiting list there. And that'll keep you informed of when we actually launch. So CB, good to see you. Why is my 5-week-old son so difficult to burp and spits up consistently? I'm not going to make a joke of this, but it's because they're 5 weeks old. It's a very common thing. There's different techniques for burping, obviously. I would ask if you have contact with your pediatrician to do that. I have 2 kids. One was very gassy. The other one wasn't. So the burping part, just because they don't burp doesn't mean that you're like doing anything wrong or something. It just may mean that they don't have the air. As far as spitting up, I think, babies do spit up a lot. One of my children spit up much more than the other, but I think you want to look at the consistency of how often, and if it's like every single time you're feeding, then, you may want to talk to a pediatrician just to make sure that, you said now CB says he is on meds. You want to make sure that maybe there's no sort of allergy to the to the formula or breast milk, however they're being fed. But yeah, it is normal. I mean, my son spit up constantly. I mean, that was it was something we would joke about. He wore bibs. He had saliva and spit and all the time. And just for so long. So yeah, I would say that's a normal thing. But if it feels like it's excessive, I would talk to your pediatrician and just make sure that everything's okay. And if you said he's on meds, then that could be a factor as well. So, but thanks. Yeah, thank you for the question. So what else is going on? So in addition to the membership, you're welcome. CB says thank you. Addition to the membership, I'll kind of explain how it works. I launched it's launching in a week, and the purpose of it is a couple things. It's to provide courses. So courses for dads of all different, both new dads and, experience, or dads of toddlers, talk about parenting, and even with some older kids. And then there's going to be a tremendous amount of video there. We've kind of remastered a lot of our videos that I've produced, kind of reorganized them. So that's there. We have live chats that are going to be just exclusively for members. And then also community where you can discuss things about, with different dads and have others that are going through the same thing. Hey, Eric. Hey, Matt G. Good to see you. Thanks for hopping on. And I have the video that I put out, and basically the cost of the membership is pay what feels good. That's how I've established it. It's really, people value it differently. And so you pay what you feel is valuable for you. And so that's how we're going to proceed with that. Matt had asked, my first kid is due July 1st. Is it normal to feel guilty about being scared about it? Yes. There is no abnormal thing about having your first child. We feel like it is, maybe whether we're scared, whether we're, we have anxiety about it. We feel like it's not normal, but the truth is all of those feelings are normal, and everything that you're feeling is okay. And it's totally normal. And, some people act like they're not scared. Some people might not be scared. I totally was. I didn't know anything about being a father when I started. I was really scared. I didn't know how to be, around children. I was uncomfortable around a baby. I held a baby once. And so, it's about learning, and it's about understanding that, you're not going to be perfect, but the idea is you're in a consistent pattern of learning, and you're in constant learning. I do all these videos. I've researched, I've done so much information. I've researched and compiled so much information, and take classes and have mentors and everything. And I'm learning all the time. And so I think you have to have just the mentality that it's a learning process. And, that's what you're going to do. It's going to be scary when you don't know things. It's scary, but yeah, I mean, congratulations. And instead of feeling guilty, it's funny. I was talking to my daughter about this because she was going to do a speech in front of her class, and the feeling of anxiety and the feeling of excitement do pretty much the same things to your body. Elevate your heart rate. You might start sweating, so it's basically the same reaction, and it's just how you're thinking about it. So if you can turn that anxiety really into excitement, that you don't know what's going to happen, it's an adventure, and just feel that whatever those feelings are, just know that everybody feels that. You should never feel guilty about that. And just, try to enjoy the process. It is scary. It's a scary process because you don't know it. You've never experienced it, but you'll be okay. And, the more time you spend, the more comfortable you get, but it's like anything, when when you're not familiar with it, it's scary. John the Bomb, good to see you. I love that name. Isaac, good to see you. Let's see, another question. How can I stimulate? I think you're saying stimulate my son when he's 3 months old. What kind of interactions are good? It depends if you're talking about mental stimulation or, physical stimulation. I'll kind of touch on both. I mean, physical is just affection. Little babies love massage, kisses and hugs and everything, and holding them. And that's the physical affection. As far as mental stimulation, every child is different, but, age appropriate toys, whether it's just like little blocks or little things that they'll begin to hold. I mean, at 3 months old, they can't really do much. They'll start probably putting things in their mouth. But, giving them different types of stimulation that you bring them along into your world, and if you're doing something, that's stimulation for them. And so I don't, it's funny. We tried to do like baby Einstein videos and certain kinds of blocks to advance them and stuff. And I don't know. There's maybe some research that shows that those things work, but bring them into your world, and carry them around and do your stuff. That'll stimulate them. You're going to go to the store. carry them and bring them to the store. That's stimulation. So I think you just bring them into your world and they'll do that. I don't know that there's very specific stimulation types of things that, at 3 months old, they're just adapting to the world and, kind of learning as you go. And the best things that they can do is be around you. That's how they pick up things. So John the Bomb, just had my son 10 months ago and it's been scary. Yes, for sure. Poppy Churro, any good tips for first-time fathers of an 18-month-old? Yeah, there's lots of tips. For me, it's more of the mental stuff of, if you watch some of the videos, it's not so much of like, games you're playing or the activities you're doing. It's really about, not taking things personally. That's for sure. If you're with your partner, taking time for you and your partner, because that can be a difficult thing. Also, some of the videos I talk about, empathy and gratitude and things. And what happens is, from 0 to 4 or 5, it's difficult. It is not something that, at least for me, I found it fascinating and wonderful, but at the same time, it's hard. It puts a lot of time demand and physical demand on you. And so you want to be prepared for that, and you want to be open to that and knowing that it doesn't last forever in that aspect. But try to enjoy the time that you do have. And so, yeah, I mean, I've got, there's tons of videos on tips. I don't know if there's one or two specific things would be is, just realize how fast the time goes. My children are almost 14 and 12 now. And, still, I look at my son now and, he's huge. And I just remember, holding him in my arms. And so enjoy that time. It does go by fast. Everybody says it, but it doesn't feel like it when they're in the middle of crying in the middle of the night, but it does go fast. And so just enjoy the time that you have. Vibes, the producer. Good to see you. Any advice on getting my 3-year-old to speak more often? Speech is something I would say to talk to your pediatrician too, if you think that there's some kind of delay. I'm not a speech expert. There are people that specialize in that and helping children. But they're still coming into their own at that point. And so, finding things that they might be interested in, whether it is, certain types of toys, certain types of toys and activities that would interest them. And you got to try a lot of different things. I think books reading to them is a really good thing. That was something that, really helped the vocabulary of my children. And I know that it does is, although you're wanting them to speak, just read books to them. We read a book every night, at least one, if not multiples, before we went to sleep and, before they laid down. And I would say reading is probably the best thing that you can do. If you feel like there's a delay of some kind, or they're not speaking and maybe the other children around them are, then I would talk to a pediatrician about that. I would talk to a doctor and just make sure that everything is okay. But some kids, take longer to speak than others. Poppy Churro, I try to take her to the park every day, but I'm new and my parents live 3,000 miles away. Yeah. Not having the support around you can be tough. What I would say is, maybe look in the area for if there's other fathers that, have kids. And when you do go to the park, you meet up with somebody and you see that, sort of kids the same age, that can be something. So Vibes, the producer, added, he says a few words and his ability to understand what's being said is amazing, but he won't put more than 2 or 3 words together at a time. Yeah, that's normal. You have to remember they've only been on this earth. Think about, he's only been on this earth for 3 years. It's one of those things. And I remember doing this quite often where I would feel like my child totally understood what was going on. And like they were very smart, but you have to realize that they don't in most cases. Like, yes, they kind of grasp situations or, the things you're talking about, where you're talking about a pen or the phone or whatever. And they understand these things, but their minds are still very, very early. And so you have to keep that in perspective. And we want often for them to progress fast, and we want to be able to have a conversation with them and talk with them. But, the fact that they're saying a couple words and he understands it, that's on par. It's normal. I think oftentimes it's our own expectations of what we think they should be doing. But yeah, I mean, most of the time the problems are the problem is us, not the child. That's for sure. Excuse me. It is just water. Although I'm drinking out of a blue cup, not a red cup. Haven't done one of these in quite a long time, but we're going to be doing some more. As I had mentioned earlier, if you're just coming on, I'm launching my membership website in about a week. And so if you want to join the waitlist for that, for the announcement, just go to the website, click on join the waitlist. The cost of the membership is pay what feels good. So it's a monthly membership that you pay what you feel works for you. And so that's the model, and hopefully people enjoy it. There's a tremendous amount of information. We got courses, broadcasts, live chat. There's videos. There's all kinds of stuff on there. So, I'm hoping people enjoy it. I've been working on it for almost the last year, if not, and really hard the last 6 months. It's been a tremendous amount of work. That's why I haven't been uploading. But yeah, I'm excited for that to launch. So if you have any other questions, throw them in the chat. Happy to. Oh, here we go. John the Bomb, any advice on getting my son to hold the bottle at 10 months, or will he just do it when he's ready? He'll do it when he's ready. Yeah, I mean, for now you assist him, but yeah, I think it's another example of us wanting the child to do something and be self-sufficient. But, at 10 months, they got nothing, and you realize that only after, when you look back and you realize how much they have to go. Yes, sometimes we underestimate how smart children are, but, when they're 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like oftentimes we have a lot of expectations of what they're capable of doing. And then on the other side, we often don't expect much from them in certain aspects. We clean up for them, or we feed them, and we're helping, and they should be starting to do things on their own. So I understand the desire to have them be independent. That's for sure, but you want to keep it in perspective. And I think he'll just do it when he's ready. That's not. If you told me the child was 5 years old and they're not eating on their own, or they're not, they're not doing something, then, that could be a problem. But at 10 months, so let's see what else is going on. Going to be doing more YouTube videos. So those will come back out. If there are topics and things that you guys like to see, please feel free to submit them. I always love feedback. And then, just the membership site. That was what I was most excited about. That's what I was, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot about it if you're here, just because I've been putting so much work into it. I can imagine it's how, whether it's how actors feel. They put so much effort into something for a year, and then it finally comes out, and you're excited for people to see it and use it or hear it, or, whatever. That's kind of how this is. So, sorry. So, yeah, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, then everyone go about their afternoon and enjoy it. Poppy Churro, I work as a nurse and my schedule is everywhere. At 18 months, how developed should her talking be? Not very. Some children are very talkative. I know my son was very talkative, and then my daughter was not. But that didn't affect anything or such. I don't think. I think it's an expectation that we have. I don't think her talking needs to be that developed. They are saying words, or if you feel like they are progressing a little bit, then that's fine. But when all else fails, I say have a really good relationship with a pediatrician or a doctor. That is something that we utilized a lot. We had a really good doctor locally, and that was something that we could ask those kinds of questions just because they see the children that are around in that area. So that can be something that that a doctor can certainly help answer. Renee, any advice on how to get my 5 and 7-year-old through their tantrums when they don't get what they want? Also, to stop our 5-year-old from yelling when she's mad. Well, I'm going to ask a follow-up question is, do you yell when you're mad? And maybe you can answer it there in the thing. Children will learn from watching and hearing us. And so if we are yelling when we get upset, likely, they are going to also. So, we may yell and do all that, and then we're expecting them not to when they get mad. So I think part of it is emulating the behavior, and when you are calm and you talk calm and you continue to be calm, your child will more than likely be calm. Now, as far as stopping tantrums, I have a couple videos on that, and it's getting ahead of it, obviously, and finding out what is it that when they don't get what they want. I'm going to say something. I don't know your situation, but I'm going to say it. This is what happens most of the time. Is I'm going to guess that they do get what they want when they whine or they throw a tantrum. Now, that may not be the specific cookie, because they wanted the cookie and they whine and they throw a tantrum, but they wanted your attention. And guess what? When they whine and they throw a tantrum, they get the attention. So there's a couple on the video that I have. There's a couple there. You can search for tantrums, on my channel. That ignoring the tantrum behavior is, so Renee had responded with, we really try not to, but of course we get caught in the moment. It's very difficult. We try our hardest to implement the calm talk when they are mad. Yes, it is very hard to be calm when somebody is mad. If you have to think of them in a different way, that's sometimes the way to do it. Like, you think of them as, like, maybe it's kind of weird to say, but like a patient, like if you were a nurse or you're a caretaker and you were taking care of somebody and they're yelling at you, you're like, okay, you're just yelling. Like, there's no reason to yell at me, and you can't take it personally. Like, and that's what happens is we take it very personal. We get upset. And so, we are displaying the behavior often that we don't want our children to do, which is yelling and screaming or doing whatever. And then we say, hey, don't do that. Don't yell, don't slam the door. Well, where did they learn to slam the door? It's probably from us. So I think it's important that you monitor your own behavior, and look at that. And then also the video has a lot of tips, but ignoring the bad behavior. So when they are throwing a tantrum, you just don't pay attention to it. You literally, you do not grab them, do not yell at them, all that does is provide them the attention that they want. And so what they learn is that if I throw a tantrum, I may not get that cookie, but I'm getting my mom or dad's attention, because they're going to come and yell at me. And whether it's subconscious, whatever, they know that they're getting that attention. It's not great. It's not positive attention, but it's still attention. So you want to manage that behavior and be very calm and think of them in a different way when they're throwing their tantrum. As long as they're not going to hurt themselves or somebody else, go ahead, hit the floor, hit a pillow, whatever, and there's other things like giving them constructive ways to get out their anger, which could be like, holding onto a towel, or, there's different things like that, breathing exercises and stuff. And that's a little bit more advanced, but the short answer is look at your own behavior, try to emulate that, try to keep calm. And, next time you get upset, That's something. Timeout. Yes. What about timeout options? So timeouts can be effective. I talk about that in one of the videos too. That became really popular with Super Nanny, the television show, and she's got some really good examples of that. The problem with timeouts is that most people don't do them exactly right, and oftentimes children are very small. They don't know how to self-soothe. They don't know how to calm down. So we yell at them and we say, "Hey, calm down. I'm not going to do it until I calm. I'm not talking to you until you calm down." Well, they don't really know how to calm down, and so timeouts, like I said, they can be okay. We just don't really do them right. I'd be more inclined to show the child how to breathe. I've used the technique when my children were young is smell the flower, blow out the candle. So, breathing in is smelling the flower, breathing out is blowing out the candle. And we do that 10 times really slow. And so when you get really mad, that's one of the techniques. So things like that, where you actually give them exercises to do, or, you say, "Hey, when you're really mad, what helps you?" If your child can communicate that, and they might say, well, coloring calms me down, or, whatever. So I think the timeouts, but they're often used as like a punishment versus, having a timeout where they're just maybe, I saw or heard somebody call it like the calm chair, where actually they had a chair in the corner. And when you are upset, you go to the calm chair, and it's really set up nicely. It might have like, it's really comfortable. It's got good lighting. It might have some books there. It's a little bit more positive of an experience to learn to calm down versus I'm stuck in the corner and my whole family is partying and having fun, and I'm stuck in the corner. Like, that's not a good feeling. So, overall, I would say timeouts aren't great just because I don't think we use them right. So I'd be more inclined to try to teach calming techniques and such, and then also watch your own behavior. Let's see. Brislin, good to see you. Any tips for a 3-year-old who acts out and smacks when tired but refuses to nap? We try to redirect and use timeout occasionally, but seems ineffective. Well, it probably goes along with what a 3-year-old. There's probably a couple things. They're not getting enough sleep. I would also say nutrition. Believe it or not, that can really affect the child. So kind of look at what it is that they're eating. And then also, sleep is a big one. It could also be why they're acting out. They could get attention. Maybe you have other things going on and you're busy, or, there's, when they are calm, you might try having that conversation. If the 3-year-old can communicate and you say, "Hey," when they're calm and you're in a good mood and you're talking, and you just say, "Hey, I know sometimes, it's difficult for you. And I can see that you get really upset and you don't want to nap and such. Do you know why that is? Why is it?" And a 3-year-old could certainly be growing out of napping. That can happen. But, you can ask them the questions, and they may say, "Well, you're always this. You're always gone," or "I don't get to do this," or you might get some answers from a child if they are able to communicate. So I think that might be something. There's a lot of reasons that, who knows I can't say what's going on with them. There can be a lot of things that are going on, but, refusing a nap and being tired and stuff, that's 2, 3, 4 years old. We can't expect that a child of that age is going to behave like we want them to, and especially all the time. They are just learning. We're learning how to handle it. So I think our expectations have to be more, in check, and more understanding of what it is that they're trying to, oftentimes acting out, and that it's communication. They don't know how to communicate. So she's upset about something, whether it is attention, whether it is she wanted something, whatever it is, she's acting out in the sense that you have to look at it a little differently, is that she's trying to communicate something to you and saying, "I'm not happy with this situation," but she doesn't know how to communicate that. So our job as parents is to try to decipher that and try to understand, what it is that they're trying to communicate. And sometimes that can be having that discussion with them. Poppy Churro had asked, I just about to ask that about tantrums, but when she starts to throw a tantrum when she hears the word no. Yeah, that's, I saw an article that there was like, I don't know, a bunch of different ways of saying no. And it was a little bit more creative. Sorry, I just had a surgery on my foot. So I'm like, I have my foot up. Sorry about that. The tantrums, yeah, you just, hearing the word no, they're not getting what they want. It's basically they want attention, and it's difficult when you're a 2 or 3, 4-year-old and you're not getting it. And so sometimes just giving them that attention is an answer in the short term. They want to be loved. So Mario had asked, how many days off should I ask for at work in order to get set up at home? I don't have to learn my newborn schedule, or the baby needs to learn my schedule. If you have a wife, partner, you got to kind of coordinate that, and everybody's different. When my first child was born, I didn't take I had my own business. I didn't have an ability to take much time off, or I decided not to. I mean, I guess I could say that I could have shut things down and said to customers, sorry. I think it's different for everybody. I have met people that it's really important to them, and then other people who say, my wife's got it, or I'm the one staying home and my wife's going back to work, or so. So I think it's an individual decision. I don't think there's a specific amount of time that, I think what I will say is that, try to make the time that you are there count, in some way. So then you won't feel guilty for, not being there. So let's say you do have to work and you're only allowed a certain number of days, or you get off work late and you don't have a lot of time with the baby, or whatever that might be, is you just try to make that time count. That's all. That's all you can do. And for everybody, it's different. I mean, there are people that don't get to see their child very much as they're starting out. And there's other people that have the freedom and the flexibility to spend a tremendous amount of time. I think you have to gauge that, and you have to gauge what you need. Of course the baby will benefit from, being there, from you being there, but there's a balance. You also have things to do. And I think, we often, I know mothers do, is they often feel so guilty about not being able to spend a certain amount of time. So, and men are feeling that way too, where if we don't get time off work, or we don't have the ability to take that time, it sucks. And we feel bad about it. So I think it's an individual decision. I don't know if I can specify that for you. But those are good questions. Just a couple more, if anyone has any. I just got a couple minutes here, and do want to mention for the people that came on, I am launching the membership for the Dad University membership. And that is going to, and if you are a wife or significant other and you want to get it for your partner for Father's Day, there is a gifting option. So you'll be able to gift it for it. It is a monthly membership, but the cost is pay what feels good. And so it's actually, you get to choose what you pay. And there are some minimums and things, but you get to choose what you pay, and everyone's going to find it different values. So Mario, awesome. I feel more relaxed now. Awesome. I'll make the best of the time then. Yes. So Jake, this is very good. I appreciate this question. Jake says, going to become a dad in about 4 weeks. What would be a polite way to tell our parents or in-laws that we disagree with a certain method that they are suggesting to raise and handle our child? Whew, that is good. So first, I would say you talk to your parents and she talks to her parents. Don't cross. Don't get involved with the other side. That's a rule. My mother told me that and taught me that, and we've lived by that, my wife and I, and it's worked out pretty well. We had great relationships with the others. You don't get involved in any of the potential drama. So I think what you say, here's when this is a great phrase that I learned this, and you can write this down, is you say, oh, we'll take that into consideration. That's it. So when they say, hey, you know what, you really should do this, you say, you know what, thank you, we'll take that into consideration. Now, in the back of your mind, you don't have to do that. You don't have to whatever. Now, if they are in the middle of, like, you're sitting there, I'll give you an example. Maybe it's a dumb example, but like, you're dressing the child and they don't like the way that you're dressing and you should put on different clothes, whatever. You say, oh, well, you know what? Thank you. And I appreciate that. It's kind of the best way to say it is like, you just say, hey, thanks, thanks for the suggestion, or thanks for suggesting that. I'll take that into consideration. And what they hear is like, oh, okay, they're hearing me because I'm offering that. And then on the other side, you can be saying, there is no way that I'm, and you're saying this to yourself, there's no way. Now, if you need to tell them to back off, then that's a little bit more delicate of a conversation. And the way that you can do that, and this isn't exact words, but you basically can say, listen, I really want you to be a part of our child's life. Like, it's really important for me. However, I also would appreciate and respect you giving me the respect for me to be able to bring up my child the way that we want to bring up our child. Now, having said that, this can happen where if you want your parents to be involved, and let's say they watch the kids and they have different rules, that can be tough because, they watch the kids, they're doing something for you, and you now. So where it becomes difficult is you are relying on them for things, and yet you are wanting it to be done your way. So that's a balance and so there's kind of an answer to that is you either have to find other people to take care of the baby, or you have to sort of succumb and let them do some of the things. Now, your child will probably not be ruined unless they are doing something that you just absolutely adamantly don't agree with. And I'd be curious to find out what it is. But I'll give you an example for, like, on my side. And so here's the thing. My mother was like the fairy godmother. She was amazing with kids. So I had no problems like with how she parented and she was just loving, whatever. However, she would also say, what happens at grandma's house stays at grandma's house. And I knew that when my children went over there, they were getting sweets and candies and ice cream and other things that we didn't have because my wife and I were very strict about our food. And my mother came to me one time and she knew that I was upset about that. I had mentioned to her, I said, listen, I just don't appreciate you feeding the child, ice creams. And she said, you know what? I have a limited amount of time here. And granted, she had cancer, but she said, I'm only going to be on this earth for so long. And if your child remembers me and enjoys that time by having ice cream and enjoying it, I feel like that would be a good thing. She said, it's totally up to you. And she actually was respectful about it. And I said, you know what? You're right. And I kind of just took a step back and allowed that, and she didn't do it as much, but she, it was one of those things where we kind of talked about it and she knew where I stood. I did not want my child having, junk all the time, but it was something that she got to share. And my children really looked forward to going over to grandma's house because they got to have ice cream and candy and stuff. And so they're, and she's now no longer here. And so they associate that and they remember going over to grandma's house and having candy and ice cream. So that's not a bad thing. So there's things like that I think you kind of have to step back and look at the bigger picture, and what is it that they're asking? I mean, I may have gone on a little bit of a tangent, but, what are they asking of you in the way that they want to raise, they want you to raise your kid. So it's one thing if they're asking you to do stuff on your own time and like, this is how you should raise it, then yeah, you have to have that talk and say, I'll take it into consideration, or hey, listen, I appreciate your feedback. Don't say, hey, don't tell me what to do. You say, hey, I appreciate it. This is the way that we're doing it, but I really appreciate your input. I know that, you guys you really care about my child and me. And, and then I think you can put it in a positive way that just doesn't feel like a slap in the face, because they're probably trying to help. They just may not know the best way to do it. So, okay. Gosh, there's some more stuff here. Hopefully, Jake, let me know if that helped. I don't know if there's anything else, if you have anything else about that, but Tunch Gaming, good to see you. Expecting a child at 25 and 24. We live in the hood. What's the best words of advice to someone going through it but excited for a child? Well, you said living in the hood, so I'm going to assume, financially it may not be as fruitful of a situation for you. And what I will say is that kids don't remember stuff. So this is something that I talk a lot about, it's very hard in like where I live, because there are people that spoil their children insanely, and my children are not, or I'd like to think that they're not. And so that's hard. It's hard to sometimes for your kids not to have. And so you feel sometimes about providing things for them and stuff. And the truth is that kids won't remember any of that. They're going to remember the way that you love them, the way that you teach them. And so realize that those are the valuable things. But that's some words of advice that I think is valuable for people, especially younger people, because you feel like you have to provide. And especially as a man, I know that was a feeling where got to get my kid great clothes and toys and all of these things. And the truth is none of that matters. None of it. It is all external things. The things that matter, and I can say this now after, I now have almost 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. It is the time, specifically the quality of the time that you spend with your children. So even if you don't have a lot of time, the quality of it needs to be good. So there are people that might see their kid once a week, once every 2 weeks. If you're in a split arrangement, it may even be worse if you live in different areas, but you make that time count. And that means interacting with your child, giving your child affection. Those are the things that matter and will continue to matter as they get older. My children have no recollection of the birthday party, other than maybe some pictures, but like spending money on birthday parties and going to amusement parks and like none of it matters. What they remember and what they can feel is how much I love them or spend time with them. We've gone camping, which is a very inexpensive thing to do. And so that's really what matters. It's the time spent, the family time, and teaching them. It's one of the best compliments my children have given me recently. It's like my daughter had said, she says, I just really appreciate how you can give, when I ask you advice, you have really good things to say. So just the fact that she feels like she can come to me is tremendously valuable. And so that to me is really important. The stuff doesn't matter. The type of toys and the cribs and just all of it. It's just when you look back and the amount of money spent and even gifts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of money on stuff. We got gifted so many things and we had hand-me-downs for everything. And but it just doesn't matter. Like none of that stuff does. And especially as they get older and what they remember and your bond with them. And so yeah, those are the things that really matter. So good question though. Thank you. So I am just final words here. Want to thank everybody. Really appreciate coming out for this live. I didn't announce it or anything, but I am going to launch my membership website in about a week. Today is the 7th. We are launching on the 14th of June. And so I'd love for anybody interested, go to the website, daduniversity.com, click on join the waitlist, and you'll be notified. And the membership is pay what feels good. So everyone values it differently. There's courses. I have all my courses in there. We're building a bunch of courses as well, so we'll continue to do it. We've got edited videos. There's a tremendous, hundreds of videos in there for all different ages, all different topics, and they're all sorted so that you can find them. We'll do members only chat so you can have questions, get questions answered, and then also discuss things with other people. So there's a discussion room and boards, and you can discuss things with other people within Dad University. So I hope, some people do that. You can go to the website, click on become or join the waitlist. And then I'll be back for more. And I appreciate everybody. Shannon had said, love this channel. I love that. I love everybody out there. I appreciate everybody following. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And as I always say in my videos, I'll see you next time. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great night or day, depending on where in the world you are. And we'll see you soon. Take care.